What's up, everybody? Shane Coley here, captain of Team Glock. Welcome back to this episode of Train with Shane. What we're going to talk about today is grip and stance. Give you a little insight about both. So first thing we're going to go into is the grip. Now, as you can see, I'm handling the pistol here. I know the chamber's clear, there's no magazine in the gun, so I know this pistol is safe. So with that being said, talking about grip. First thing I want to do with the grip is I want to take the webbing of my strong hand and put it as high in the back strap of the pistol as I can. Once I've done that, I also want to make sure that my middle finger knuckle goes under the trigger guard for point of contact. So I maintain this position in the grip. Then I want to make sure that the slide is in line with my forearm so that I have the most control of recoil during multiple shots. Now that I've got that strong hand position in the gun, the next thing I want to do is get my weak hand in place. So I have the webbing in my hand as high in the beaver tail as possible. I have the slide in line with my forearm, and I've also got my middle finger knuckle with a point of contact under the trigger guard. The next thing I want to do is I want to take my weak hand and angle it at a 45-degree angle down. I want to take my pointer finger knuckle and I want to put another point of contact right under the trigger guard as well. Once I have that 45-degree angle down and I have that knuckle under the trigger guard, I can roll the meaty part of my thumb into this space that we've created right here on the pistol. So it'll look like this. And I'm going to have both of my thumbs point downrange towards the target. Now, a big thing that I see happen is people keep their wrist straight and try to form the same grip. Watch what happens when I straighten my wrist versus having it at a 45-degree angle down. So here's the angle down. See how high I have, or how high my grip is on the pistol. When I straighten my wrist out, which is a very common mistake for shooters, it lowers my grip. My wrist is now straight. My thumbs are still pointed at the target, but my grip is now lower on the pistol. So as the gun recoils, I have less control. That's why it's very, very important to make sure that your wrist is angled 45 degrees down. All right, now let's talk about the stance. The stance is also very, very important with recoil management. So let's make sure your stance is correct. One of the first things we want to do is take our support side foot and put it about 6 inches in front of your strong side foot. You also want to have a slight bend in your knees and a slight bend forward at the waist. This is a very athletic stance because it prepares me to move in either direction if I need to, or to drop down and shoot on the move if I need to. Once I've accomplished this, I want to present my gun at the target, and I don't want to lock my elbows all the way out. If I lock my elbows all the way out, whenever I have multiple shots on a target, the recoil is going to start pushing my shoulders back, which is in turn going to rock me back. So I want to have a little bit of bend in my elbows so that they can act as shock absorbers as I'm firing the gun. So this stance is going to give us a lot of power and a lot of strength behind the gun because we want to drive the gun to our target and not have the gun drive us. So like I said, support side foot in front, strong side foot to the rear, bend in the knees, slight bend at the waist, bend at the elbows, a lot of power behind the gun so that you can drive it. Now, let's put this to the test and put some rounds down range.